Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in. This is Gardening with Daddy Pete. I'm Melvin York.
And I am Jay York. Thank you guys for listening in today. Before we get started, real quick, just check out our website if you have a minute. It's www.daddypetes.com. You'll find a little bit of information about our farm and our products there. But yeah, without further ado, today, Melvin and I, we're going to talk about some food recalls and two government organizations that provide information about that kind of regulate that, and we'll dive into that here now.
Yeah, and that's something that we thought it's very important to people. I know that a lot of people asked, well, I didn't know there was a recall, and, it was a week later or 2 weeks later or whatever. What I've done for years, and I guess I've been following this for, 15 years, maybe longer, is there's two of our government organizations that I'd like for you to go to, and you can subscribe and you get a daily email with all the recalls. One of them is the USDA, which is United States Department of Agriculture, and the other one is the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration. Both of them work together to basically look after our food and our sources and other things in different ways.
Yeah, it's a pretty vast difference between the two, even though there's a lot of similarity in kind of their overlap of what they regulate. They do have kind of different regulations when it comes to the food side of things. So we'll kind of start off with the FDA because it is a little bit more of a broader spectrum. What the FDA regulates is going to be, more of your processed food products, everything outside of the scope of kind of natural production in a way, I guess would be a good way to say it.
Probably except for eggs is one.
Yeah. But, something like bottled water, your pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, medical devices, tobacco even, veterinary products, over-the-counter prescription drugs, all of that is regulated by the FDA, where in turn, your USDA is going to regulate your meat, your poultry, eggs, forestry, and also get into, some livestock production, rural development. There's a lot that goes into USDA. They even go into home loans and looking into, urban versus rural development. There's a lot that goes into these two organizations.
Right. And then again, they do work together. And one I just mentioned was, and as there are other examples too, but eggs one. Now, FDA regulates eggs as long as the shell's not cracked or uncracked eggs. Whereas once that they do become cracked, if they are in a form of where that they've been processed, so to speak, where you buy the eggs or eggs in something, then that falls under the USDA authority then. So things are different. FDA, and I know a lot of people now, and I don't know very many people, and that doesn't take some kind of pharmaceutical. And the FDA regulates those, and believe it or not, there's a lot of call on pharmaceuticals and the devices, even to the point I know people have sleep apnea and stuff, the machines they use at night. A lot of those have been recalled on the filters that they're not up to standard. They get dirty, and then they house organisms that's not good for you. They do recalls on that and different things. So both of them have a place in our society and things that we need to know about because of products that we use every day.
Yeah. And before we get too deep into, kind of discussing the differences and the similarities of these, we've kind of just briefly touched on it. We want to give you guys the websites where you can check out, because we are talking about food recalls today. We want to share the two websites for these two organizations where you can check for the current food recalls, see if something in your fridge or, maybe a drug that you're taking is on this recall list.
Even in your pantry, something that's canned.
Yeah, I mean, it's good information to have, kind of just keep something in the back of your mind. So the first website for the USDA is going to be www.fsis.usda.gov/recalls. And so the FSIS portion of that is going to stand for the Food Safety and Inspection Service.
Right.
So going to the FDA side of things, you're going to go to www.fda.gov/safety/recalls.
Yeah, and here's the thing about it. Once you go to that page, you'll see a thing where it says to subscribe. And what you'll do is, and like I say, I did this, I get them daily. I subscribed, I know, at least 15 years ago, but that comes into your email. And believe it or not, it doesn't bring any spam along with it. They do a good job on that. But you get all the daily recalls. You can go back into the archives also and look. And believe me, when it flashes up every day, between the two, it takes you just a few minutes to look at them and go through them. But you can always go back and look at them because they do archive these. And some of these recalls do go on for several weeks, and some of them has been on for several months. So it's something that you want to do to help your family stay safe.
Yeah, and even though these two government entities are technically separate, like we mentioned before, they do kind of work together to accomplish the same goal, because overall the end goal is to keep Americans safe, keep the American population healthy and moving. So I just wanted to share a couple examples here, because they're also going to work with other agencies such as the CDC and the EPA. There's a lot that ties into this. A couple examples of how these two agencies are working together would be the FDA regulating livestock feed, whereas the USDA would regulate the actual livestock production.
The meat,
yes,
right.
The
After
product.
it's been gone.
Yeah,
right.
your final product. And then both of these agencies are going to work with the EPA to regulate. This is a really hot topic that we can get in some hot water in, but biotechnology and genetic engineering, that's a rabbit hole within itself. Both of these agencies are going to work with the CDC to respond to outbreaks from these recalls that we're going to talk a little bit more about here in just a minute. And then they're both going to share regulations on lab-grown meat, again, going back into that genetic engineering portion of things. The FDA will oversee cell collection, banking, growth, and the USDA will oversee your processing, packaging, labeling.
And that's the point, too, I want to bring up about the lab-grown meat. Lab-grown meat actually came on the scene actually around 2020, 2021. And the first were doing chicken and they were doing beef by growing that. Now they grow other different types of meat also. And a lot of people still thinks, well, this is just, this is not true. This is this. Yes, it is true. And the one thing that I did not do any research on was the labeling that it has to be. And I'm sure there has to be some type of labeling to tell you whether it's a lab-grown meat or whether it is a actual meat. But again, how many places do we know when we go out to eat, or to dine, the fast food restaurants, the even nicer chains or nicer restaurants, how many people are using that? So you sometimes don't know what you're eating, but the thing is, we need to, it does keep you up to date on that. And then back to we could be here all day just talking on biotechnology and bioengineered seeds and foods and all. So this is going to give you a brief overview so you can go in and look for some of this. But the main thing is today is the recalls.
Yeah. And the reason that we want to share that too, again, is because recalls can be issued for a variety of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking into, obvious things would be like a disease outbreak with Salmonella or E. coli.
Listeria.
Yeah. Metal or glass
Foreign objects, contamination. Yeah. And then another one is when we have people that's allergic allergens.
Yeah.
Sometimes it don't get inspected. They don't. The factory doesn't turn it in. It could have a milk byproduct in it. It could have a nut byproduct, and all of these are and we have a lot of people that's highly allergic to peanuts and different nuts, and also dairy products.
Yep.
So those are supposed to be listed on their list of ingredients in there, and a warning that this may contain tree nuts. This was packaged in a plant that has the dairy products or tree nuts and
exactly
to go on. So these are the things that they come out with, says, hey, that package made it through. It's not labeled right, so we're recalling that.
Yep, exactly. And a couple other reasons too would be, if something wasn't inspected and snuck through because the USDA or FDA didn't get to verify that these were in a nut-free facility or a dairy-free facility, go on and so forth. Or if the product's coming from a non-approved country of origin too.
Right. And that's a big deal now.
Yeah.
And I just noticed one this morning that did get through without an inspection, and they were recalled on it. And it was being imported from another country. So, and believe it or not, guys, we get tremendous amounts of food all the way from other countries. And there's another good website, and you can go on the USDA site to do it, and they put out a monthly magazine. You can get that put into your email too. It'll shoot it to you once a month, and it's called Amber Waves. And that's put out by the USDA, and it gives you all the figures you want to know. How much food we're exporting, how much we're importing by each one, gives you what our farms are putting out. There is a tremendous amount of information there to help you make the right decisions. So that magazine is under the USDA. When you go in to subscribe to the recalls, subscribe to that magazine, which comes out once a month. And you can go back on their site and look at all the articles too. And I'm not real sure, but you may get a daily article on that too. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it's something to look into for our next podcast for sure.
Right. But this is just, we're doing this just to give you an idea, because, here at Daddy Pete's, we do promote and try to help you grow your own food, grow your food safely. We do promote our local farmers. We want you to get to know your local farmer. And then when we're talking about if you can't grow your own meat, your own chickens, your own beef, your own pork, say your eggs, get with your local farmer, somebody you know how they grow it, and buy your food there. The main thing is, in this day and time, we have so much food out here that's not real food. There's a lot of imitation going on. So you want to make the right choices. Again, these are two avenues that's going to help you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, a lot of times people get into gardening, trying to save money. And, that is definitely something you can do. And we want to remind everyone, gardening is a very budget effective tool. It's a very cost effective tool, like I said, as long as it's used and practiced safely. So, do your research, make sure you're, doing your garden the way that you want to do it, but also make sure you're following all the environmental practices, making sure everything, there's a lot to consider there, especially if you're not doing a raised bed garden, going into wastewater and things like that. We were talking about these two agencies kind of tying in with the EPA and everything. You want to make sure that you are gardening safe, not only for you, but for your neighbors and for everyone else too.
Right. That's correct. Well, we're kind of running out of time this morning. So we do thank y'all for joining us today. And hopefully these topics will help you. Please go to the FDA website and go ahead and subscribe to that daily email. Do that also with the USDA. Subscribe and to the recall part of that. And also subscribe to the Amber Waves, and that will be on the USDA's website. I think these will be three things that you will thoroughly enjoy. I think that you'll be glad you did, and I think it's also giving you a lot of protection for your family.
Yeah,
I do.
And if we're not going to fill up your inbox enough, we want to go ahead and remind you too, we are with Daddy Pete's Plant Pleaser. Check out our website at www.daddypetes.com. There you can sign up for a monthly newsletter with your email. We don't sell any of your information. And you'll also see a link to our YouTube page, all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram. And then you can listen to our podcast on Podbean, where you can find us on a variety of platforms, Prime, Spotify, Apple Music, everything of the sort.
YouTube.
Yep, absolutely. And on YouTube, you'll get to see a video feed. If we're putting anything on the computer, these websites, everything, you'll be able to see them.
Right. So again, we do want to thank you for that. And here at Daddy Pete, our motto is we help you grow. That's our heart. And until next time, happy gardening.
Thank you.